All right, let's dive right in. Today we're looking at a pretty incredible strategic framework. It's designed to help Africa respond to major global shocks. Now, the scenario we're about to walk through is set just a little bit into the future, but the ideas behind it are very, very real. It's all about how you can turn a moment of crisis into a genuine opportunity. Okay, so picture this. It's March 25th, 2026. We're looking at a live intelligence monitor. And what's the big headline? Volatility. The markets are flashing red, prices are all over the place. I mean, this is a super high-stakes environment where every single signal matters, and you've got to act fast. So, what's causing all this chaos? Well, it all kicks off with one single massive global event, a shockwave coming right out of the Strait of Hormuz. Let's dig into what triggered it. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This chart tells a huge story in just 2 bars. You've got Brent crude, right? That's the global standard. It's under $100, but it's bouncing around like crazy. But then look at Nigeria's Bonny Light. Whoa, it's trading way, way higher. That's not just a number, you guys. That's a massive signal of a potential windfall for Africa's oil producers right in the middle of all this global panic. So what's the root cause of all this? A conflict involving Iran is forcing a huge rerouting of the world's energy. Think about that. This isn't just a news story. It creates a direct liquidity shock. It messes up supply chains and sends these crazy ripple effects across the entire planet. And the impact on Africa is, well, it's complicated. So, how does this actually hit the continent? Well, that shockwave lands on 2 totally different fronts. And what it creates is this wild situation of both an incredible crisis and a historic opportunity, all happening at the exact same time. And here's that paradox in black and white. For oil exporters like Nigeria, that high price is a jackpot, a massive windfall. But for pretty much everyone else on the continent, it's a full-blown crisis. That same oil shock means the price of fertilizer and diesel just goes through the roof. This puts farmers in a terrible spot right at planting season, and it's a huge threat to miners who are so critical to the economy. So, as if a giant energy shock wasn't enough to deal with, there is a second, equally powerful force at play. And you can boil it down to this one number, $282 billion. So what on earth does that represent? That number? That's the value of a brand new African supply chain that's just been locked in. And look, this isn't just your average trade deal. We're talking about a zero-tariff corridor for mineral access. It basically sidesteps other international players and poses a real challenge to African resource sovereignty. This visual from the monitor just drives the point home, doesn't it? That arrow represents this huge, dedicated pipeline for critical resources, and it's all designed for one thing: maximum efficiency to lock in supply for one global power. Okay, so let's boil this all down into the key alerts. First, that Middle East oil shock, it's no longer a distant problem. It's become a local food and mining crisis right here in southern and East Africa. Second, because of energy shortages, a huge chunk of the world's platinum and cobalt supply chains, we're talking 60 to 80%, are suddenly at risk. And third, that China-Africa mineral corridor, it's picking up speed. And you gotta understand, these aren't separate issues. They're all piling on top of each other. So you're facing this perfect storm of shocks and strategic pressures. What do? I mean, how do you even start to build resilience against all that? Well, this is where something called the Chii framework comes into play. It's an operational model designed for exactly this kind of scenario. The core idea here is actually simple, but it's so powerful. The Chii framework is all about taking these chaotic global signals, things like crazy oil prices and big trade deals, and systematically turning them into real, tangible local wealth and opportunity on the ground. And it's built on 4 key pillars. First up, collaboration. This means breaking down old barriers to create shared processing hubs between regions. Second is heritage, which is all about awakening that deep, ancestral knowledge of the land to create certified assets you can actually monetize. Third, innovation, using technologies like solar farms and maglev. Yeah, that's magnetic levitation for transport to fight back against that diesel risk we talked about. And finally, number 4, information, turning all this complex data into simple, actionable signals that small businesses and farmers can actually use. And this image, this is a vision of what that really looks like in practice. It's a whole new kind of community intelligence hub, where technology, local wisdom, and real-time data all come together to build a future that's both resilient and prosperous. Now, this isn't just some theory on a piece of paper. The wave is here. So let's look at how we go from these powerful insights directly to taking concrete action. This quote is basically the mantra. It's a proactive mindset. The whole goal is to take the very signals that are causing all the chaos and harness their energy to create liquid wealth, real capital for communities. And this table lays it all out so clearly, sector by sector. Look at oil. The risk is disruption, right? But the opportunity is to use that price windfall to fund new mining infrastructure. Or mining. The risk is diesel shortages, but the opportunity is to push for new critical mineral exploration. In agriculture, that awful fertilizer price spike is countered by creating new money from carbon credits. It's brilliant. The key here is that this framework isn't just about playing defense. It's about actively turning every single point of pressure into a catalyst for growth. Every risk has a matching opportunity. So how does this actually translate into something you can do right now? Well, the framework proposes a 48-hour action window. Farmers and small businesses, they'd be prompted to get their assets registered and listed on a marketplace called Ichimaskeya. Communities, they'd get guidance on how to turn their soil legacies into verified revenue streams. And leaders, they would use these briefings to get their cooperatives mobilized. It's about immediate, concrete steps. Ultimately, what this framework is suggesting is something much bigger than just navigating a crisis. The core idea is to awaken a legacy by perfectly blending ancestral knowledge with the best modern tools. It's a really compelling model for building a sustainable future. And it kind of leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? In an age of constant global shocks, what other legacies are just sitting there, waiting to be awakened as the solutions we so desperately need?